So across the pond to our cousins in America, an alarming story has only just started to unravel, where over 10 days ago, a train carrying thousands of gallons of highly hazardous chemicals was derailed near a village called East Palestine in Ohio. After the derailment, authorities conducted what they called a controlled release, where hazardous chemicals such as vinyl chloride caused an explosion, thus creating a thick black smoke that went on for miles and miles. An evacuation of East Palestine was then underway. Residents who then came back after the evacuation was lifted posted video footage of the aftermath where animals and wildlife had dropped dead, the water supply and the air is contaminated, residents reported burning sensations in their eyes, and there are reports claiming that the water supply in Indiana and Kentucky are being affected. That's 240 miles away. Vinyl chloride can cause cancer if you breathe that over a long period of time, if you didn't know that already. Joining me to discuss this further is American political commentator Layla Grey. Layla, it's great to have you on and see you. So your area is mostly focused around propaganda and of course how the media works and things like that. So from your perspective, why has this taken so long to unravel and to be reported on, in your opinion?
Well, I definitely think there's a lot of conspiracy that this could definitely represent because of number one, I'm not sure if your viewers are familiar with the film White Noise that was released in 2022 that features a very similar scenario. And many people are predicting that this was actually predictive programming to prepare the American population for some type of event similar to this. And unfortunately, right now we're seeing in the news that they've been suppressing this story tremendously. We have, for example, if you look at CNN, which is very popular here, there's almost no mention of it. And it is literally catastrophic. It is considered like the worst ecological disaster,
Mm.
honestly, in a very long time, especially in America. And so many people are being kept in quiet about what is actually happening and how this will actually affect people in the long run, because it's not just what's released in the air, but ultimately what's being released into the water supply, because
Mm.
unfortunately this could hit major agricultural areas and contaminate. So there's there's so much speculation about what this actually will lead to in the long run.
It's interesting that you brought up White Noise because that was going to be one of my questions actually. That this film that came out back in, I believe, I think it was around August or December sort of time, around that sort of time, depicted strangely and coincidentally, it was a train derailment full of hazardous chemicals, which then created this black smog over, weirdly, Ohio. Exactly the same as what this situation has turned out. So is it just a coincidence, or do you think that there is definitely some sort of programming going on here? I know you've just briefly mentioned it, but I wanted to see what you would think further on that.
No, I definitely think that was a form of predictive programming, because essentially predictive programming is to allow people to be more to easily adapt and recognize and accept behaviors that should be extremely alarming.
Mm.
Whereas now, with the suppression in the news, obviously, and then this film, and then I'm not sure if you're familiar, but this incident has actually happened in several other states, South Carolina. There was a derailment in Houston, Texas, and then actually yesterday we saw that there was some sort of hazardous spill in Arizona. So, and they've actually released a stay-at-home order for the people in that area
Yeah.
in Arizona. And so it just seems very, very unlikely this is an accident.
I was going to say that there were reports of, or video footage, in fact, of of reporters, even mainstream reporters, trying to get the story out as soon as it happened. And of course, we're only hearing about this 10 days later. But I've actually seen videos of reporters being arrested. And I know that this sounds like a daft question, but why do you think that is?
Well, obviously they need to control the story. It is a catastrophic event. Again, this is not, you were mentioning Kentucky and the other states being affected, and those places are rather far away. America is pretty large in terms of how much rural area that we have and the distances that we have. And honestly, to have the water supply be affected that severely is pretty catastrophic. And the news reports, the stories, even places in Canada are mentioning that they're having issues, light issues, not as severe, but it's going to have a huge impact. And right now we don't really even know. And there's also speculations that there's some chemicals that they haven't even mentioned that were released. So I'm not sure exactly what they mean to do, but I do know that this most likely was planned.
Yeah, interesting. Well, thank you very much, Layla, for your time. I really appreciate that. And obviously, there's more to follow for this story. I think we're only just scratching the surface of what this story is doing at the minute. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me on. And definitely stay vigilant, because this, as you're well aware, and I think your viewers are well aware, this is not just a local plot, but a global plot. So we definitely have to stay vigilant of whatever ends up happening.
So here's a video posted on social media, somebody made, of on-the-ground reports. Check it out.
Massive train derailed Friday, 20 of them carrying hazardous materials, as flames lit up the sky in northeastern Ohio.
The evacuation order is in place for anyone within a mile radius of the crash site.
These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit! The fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine! This is not fucking storm clouds! Look at it!
Horrible. Because I got arrested because I was trying to do a live report. That's what people need to know.
Officials are claiming that the air and water are safe. Residents say they can still smell chlorine. They've complained about their eyes watering when they go outside, and one woman says the noxious air killed her chickens.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down and went very fast.
Look at all these fucking crows. I'm not kidding. This is within 10 miles of East Palestine.
If you have not evacuated, please leave the area.